right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of WWE Overrated and Underrated. Always, we're going to bring in other creators and other guests to be a part of this series. So today, first part of the series of this guy being a part of it, got some interesting takes always on TikTok, always on social media platforms. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, to plug his socials in, make sure you guys give him some love, follow all his content, and we're going to dive into this, man. It's gonna be interesting because I don't know what names he got put down on this list, so.
Yeah, it still shows 4/4 on everything TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Also, you can catch me TikTok pretty much talk with Blaze every Tuesday night. And yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready, man. I'm ready to get my takes, man. They seem to be controversial all the time. So,
As always, let the guests go first. So, who's the first name you're going to be throwing out there?
first name. Let's see. So I'm gonna start like chill, honestly. I'm gonna go with what do you think about Batista?
Oh, that's a good one. I actually made a video about this maybe a week or two ago. I can't remember the exact date, but I actually spoke about this very recently. Batista, I don't know where this agenda is coming from. I don't know if Batista maybe wasn't around for certain people in this era because we are kind of past, that time frame. But Batista is criminally underrated. I don't think a lot of people saw maybe his peak. Maybe they only saw him in 2014 when he came back for that little stint, so they didn't really see him at his height. But Batista proving that he could have good matches. He had good matches with Cena and Orton and Batista. I mean, Triple H and many other guys. Undertaker, one of the best feuds in 2007. I don't know where that whole overrated agenda came from because I don't know people who place Batista like in a higher echelon. Like, you don't see too many people put him in like top 5, top 10 conversations, But like overrated, never understood where that came from. Batista and overrated should never be in the same sentence. So
Okay.
Batista was like that from like 2005 to like 2008. Batista was tough. Batista was like that, bro, in that 3-year period. I don't know what people are looking at, but we might not have been watching the same guy. I'm convinced at this point. First thing I'm gonna throw out there for you, I'm gonna start with the lady. We're gonna start with the woman. First thing I'm gonna throw out there for you, how you feel about Trish Stratus?
Huh. Okay. So it's interesting, right? It's kind of it's complicated, but not. I feel like Trish Stratus is in an interesting position when it comes to what she's done, like in the business. If you were to ask me if Trish was overrated, right before like 2019 when she came back and started wrestling again, I would have said yes. But
Hmm.
but I feel like at like the work she's done since she's came back and the matches she's put on, the fact that she has a 5-star match with Becky Lynch at her age, at this point in her career, I think it justifies any like of the takes that people are saying. And I don't really see people put her as like the GOAT or anything, but they put her at least in like a top 10 or that top 10 echelon of women, which with the stuff she's done, the name she is, I think that would be fair, especially with her being like one of the women to actually break out before the women years. I'm talking about like a decade before the women's like revolution in like 04, 03 with Lita, a part of the first Raw women's main event. So also with that being a pretty good match. So I mean, I think where they put her, I think it's justified. I'll give it a Trish Stratus. I think it's justified.
So underrated, okay. All right.
I'll go underrated. Yeah, I'm gonna go with faction. Let's go with the Shield.
Mm. Um, I feel like the Shield they were properly rated for their time. They only had a 2-year stint, but I feel like they served their purpose. I think they're one of the greatest factions of all time. I don't think they're the greatest faction of all time because they don't have the longevity behind it. But in that 2-year span, they made an immediate impact, no doubt about that. I'll say I'll go on the underrated side because I don't know if they're underrated, but I definitely don't think they're overrated. I wouldn't put them in that type of conversation. I mean,
Properly. Okay, I got
in
you.
that 2-year time frame, obviously it built up 3 key stars for WWE moving forward, mainly Roman and Seth. But um, I feel like the Shield was in a pretty good spot. They never felt underutilized. They never felt like they weren't important. Like the Shield was always in a good spot. They were a big portion of the product at one point. They stood out. You knew they were a big deal. The time that they were together wasn't too long, but if you look at it in hindsight, they didn't really have to be because all three guys were able to stand out on their own. So I'll go on the underrated side.
Okay.
Can't put them in overrated. That's just too nasty.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Let's stick on the ladies' side. I'm gonna throw out another name. How do you feel about Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet?
In my opinion, I would say Sasha Banks. I would have to say underrated. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the contribution she's made to women's wrestling in WWE gets overlooked a lot. And people just tend to focus on Becky Lynch. People just tend to focus on Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? But the contributions that her and Bailey made, I feel like she's in a spot where she's underrated. A part of some of the most important women's matches. She was a part of the first women's one-on-one main event, WrestleMania 37. She was a part of the first women's main event in NXT with Bailey. That amazing, the not only the amazing Iron Woman match, but the amazing main event they had in Brooklyn. So I feel like she's in a spot where a lot of her accomplishments they tend to get put to the side. They tend to get put to the side, and how great she is tend to get put to the side for the other four horsewomen. So I'm gonna have to say underrated. I
Okay.
don't say underrated.
Nothing too diabolical yet, so we're playing it safe.
So we're gonna stick to the women's side. Actually, we're gonna stick to that. I'm gonna say, tell me what you think about Ronda Rousey.
Mm-mm. Ronda's an interesting case, man. I don't know how you could progressively get worse when you were already proven that you were good. Her first one was pretty good.
Yeah.
She had one of the greatest debut matches anybody ever saw. Like that debut match, you would have thought Ronda Rousey she's gonna be incredible at this. How can she not? Debut match stole the show at WrestleMania. Then she had some of the good matches. Like she gave Nia Jax two of her best matches at the time when Nia Jax wasn't really well received by the audience for her, her abilities and the injury prone stuff. She had a good match with Sasha, the match with Charlotte, Survivor Series, and stuff like that. But then she came back and her promos got worse and her in-ring ability just wasn't there. She was having poor matches. Like maybe it was because she didn't care as much, who knows? But Ronda's tough because like I know she can be good because I saw it. But then like when you came back and that's the quality that we got, like that's the best we could get when you came back. Like you couldn't give us anything better. Like I'd say a little overrated.
Okay.
I'd say a little overrated just for the simple fact I don't know how you can make a return and not progressively get better from where you were already at the last time you got progressively worse. And that didn't make sense. Like I can understand if Ronda was worse the first time and then she got even more worse because she hadn't shown any potential, but she showed all the potential during her first run. She showed that she could do something. So for her to come back, maybe her heart really wasn't in it. I don't know. Maybe she just really didn't really care too much to put the effort into it. I don't know for sure, but I gotta say a little overrated because that second run just that didn't sit well. Next superstar I'm gonna throw out there for you. Where do you want to place as far as overrated, underrated in your mind? Where do you want to put LA Knight?
Um, LA Knight is probably right now. In terms of right now, I think he's one of the most underrated talents like on the roster. I think his promo ability is head and shoulders above a lot of the wrestlers in WWE currently. His charisma, his storytelling ability, also people don't talk about that. And in ring work, that's not where he's best at. That's the case with a lot of stars. I think LA Knight is just a guy who should have been in the main event, who should have been already a world champion because he has all the qualities for it. The fact that he got as hot as he did in 2023 and he didn't see like any like main event success from that is kind of criminal. Um, I just think if you were able to get that hot in the company and become like one of the number one stars, one of the top stars, one of the best merch sellers of that year, as hot as you were with a catchphrase like that, going like crazy everywhere. I feel like he should have been at least at the spot where like other wrestlers were at when they became like a world champion, even if it wasn't a lengthy reign, even if it wasn't the most dominant reign of all time. The fact that he still hasn't had one, I don't know, it's criminal in my opinion. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm gonna have to say underrated for LA Knight. He could be a just a generational like star, but they choose not to go with him. It is what it is. Speaking of choosing people to be generational stars, right? How you feel about old Papa H, man? Well, not Papa H, Triple H, the wrestler. How do you feel about Triple H as a wrestler? Underrated or overrated?
So somebody, another person had asked me this one too. I can't remember who it was. Um, we got to stop disrespecting Triple H when it comes to the wrestling. Triple H is so underrated, bro. I don't know where this Triple H force hate. Maybe it's because of the booking, and people didn't mad because he making certain decisions. I don't know, but I don't know why we trying to pretend that Triple H wasn't good during his time. Was he ever the guy? Sure, not. Did he ever need to be? No, though. Would he have 14 world titles if he wasn't married to a certain somebody? Maybe he wouldn't. But who cares? At the end of the day, Triple H was still good at what he did. He's one of the best heels of his era. He has very good storylines that are very legendary throughout WWE's history. And he has very good matches, stipulations or non stipulations. Now, his best matches, yes, are ones that have stipulations attached to it. But he has proven that he can still have a good match with a stipulation not in the match. So I don't know where the Triple H hate comes from. Maybe just because he is married to Stephanie McMahon and people just felt that he married his way to the top. Maybe that's what it is. But people are trying to really, in my mind, pretend that Triple H really wasn't that good when he really was. That's kind of wild to me. All right, next, I'm going to throw out a tag team for you. How you feel about Pretty Deadly?
Pretty deadly. Underrated. Underrated. I've seen what they can do on NXT. I've seen how great they are. Not to mention charisma, funny. They have character work. They can tell a story, and they're pretty great in the ring. They have everything you need as a tag team. I don't understand why. Well, aside from injuries, even before that, I don't understand why they weren't being used as much, or just being used in like comedy or joke segments when they can be a serious, actual tag team in a division.
Fair point.
Um,
Fair point.
I think it's just lack of opportunities they've had that hasn't shown people why they're actually talented as a tag team. And until they get people get shown that, people just going to continue to underrate them and think like they can't like wrestle or they can't do anything or they're just boring or they, you know what I'm saying. So it is what it is. But I think Pretty Deadly is a very underrated tag team in my opinion.
All right, so far you got all underrated answers. We're gonna see
Yeah.
how far you gonna go with that.
This is gonna be this is an interesting case. What do we think about the showstopper, man? What do we think about Dolph Ziggler?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
I
Shawn
mean
Michaels.
the show off, Dolph
Yeah, I
Ziggler.
would say the showstopper, Shawn Michaels. Dolph Ziggler for sure was underrated during his time. He was somebody that might fall, I guess, in the LA Knight conversation. There was lightning in a bottle with Dolph Ziggler's momentum, and multiple times they had a chance to utilize him as a top star, and they just chose not to. I mean, I know he had concussion situations here and there, injuries, but I always felt that was just an excuse for WWE not to want to utilize him because they never really wanted to. There's plenty of people that have gotten hurt and have come back and gotten their spot back or were still utilized. I get that Dolph may not have been as big of a star as some of those people, but it's just really nitpicking at the end of the day when it comes to certain fans, who they feel can get away with that and can't get away with that shit. So I feel Dolph Ziggler definitely could have been a solid top guy for WWE for some years if they had chose to. 2014 would have been a good year, 2016 especially, and they chose not to do it.
Okay, so underrated. Okay.
All right, we're gonna dive into this one right here. How do you feel about the Big Show? Well,
Oh God. Um. Hmm. Okay. I guess. Oh, this one is tough because I truly don't. It's 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 a weird case, right? Because the Big Show is a very talented superstar, and what he does in the ring, especially what he was doing in his younger years, talented. Like he was amazing. Um, he can tell a story. He does have character work, and he has the qualities of a WWE superstar, right? That you would need, right? Um, I think my only problem would be just the overexposure of Big Show, just the overexposure of him in the main events when he didn't need to be in them, the overexposure of him in storylines when he didn't need to be in them, And the way WWE used them, like they would always use them as like, I guess, an obstacle for like certain baby faces, but a lot of the times those storylines and the ways they were using him just weren't good. I remember during John Cena's like worst year of all time, they used Big Show in order to have Cena lose to John Laurinaitis. And then it turned into a Cena versus Big Show feud. It's like I want to say underrated. I truly do. But with the way WWE used him and the way that he was used, I've never seen a wrestler I've never seen a wrestler like get such an annoyance, like be so annoying to a certain amount of fans. Like most of the time, the stuff that he was in, like, yeah, but you got an annoyance from it. And then not to mention the 12,000 baby face turns, heel turns that he would always have in the storyline. So um I want to say underrated because I truly do like what the Big Show brings, but the way he's been like used, I will have to go overrated, especially with the way WWE used him.
All right, your first overrated answer. Interesting, interesting there.
Here's one. How do you this is gonna be great. How do you feel about our boy Jeff Hardy, man? How do you feel about Jeff Hardy?
I think Jeff is a little underrated. I
Wow.
think a lot of people feel like he's a spot monkey, which to an extent isn't wrong, but
Mhm.
Jeff Hardy also is a good wrestler. I don't know, people didn't see him in TNA from like 2010 to 2013, but Jeff Hardy was having very good matches, and a lot of those didn't have stipulations attached to it. They didn't have ladders in those matches. I think Jeff Hardy obviously got popular because he is an enigma. He's a risk taker, so that's why people gravitated towards him. Because, yeah, he does the cool things. Yeah, he puts his body at risk. Yeah, he jumps off ladders. That makes Jeff Hardy cool, and that's a pro and a con to him. Some people expect that a lot of times from him, which is why he was in a lot of ladder matches. But then again, Jeff, it was kind of hard for him to escape that image. Like, I can do more than just jump off ladders. You know what I mean? So I think Jeff Hardy has definitely a connection and a personality with fans. His promo skills never were really that good, but I don't think they ever really, I guess, needed to be, just because the fans had a connection with him that was always going to be there. So I'll say a little underrated. I think there are people who can disrespect Jeff Hardy's legacy a little too much.
Mm.
All right, let's just dive into this one, man. Roman Reigns.
Uh, you know,
OTC.
as a fellow Rhodes family member myself, man, I've had quite the interesting relationship with Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns fans. If you would have asked me this question about a year and a half ago, I'd say if you would ask me this in about 2 years ago, I would have said overrated, right? But man, I don't know. One day I just looked up and I looked at all the accomplishments that Roman Reigns had, and I looked at the matches that he's had, not only in that 4 year time span as a tribal chief, but the matches he's had as the big dog, because those were some amazing matches. Of course, the storylines were always meh, and of course, in those early days, WWE has fast tracked them to the main event. So that's where you get those situations where he's getting embarrassed in the ring by John Cena because he can't cut a promo yet, and situations like that. But regardless of all of that, the thing is, regardless of all of that, a lot of those moments he still took them and he still did something with them, right? If I were to put his big dog career, right, and combine it with the tribal chief career, I can't call him overrated because it's too much stuff there. It's too much stuff that he's been a part of that does get a good memories from fans, right? The whole like storylines he's been a part of, and on the tribal chief run, 4 years of dominance, 4 years of a pretty good WWE Championship reign, probably the best WWE Championship reign of all time. Great main events, mostly throughout that tribal chief run. I guess I'd say he only had like one like bad like Mania main event in that tribal chief run, like the Brock Lesnar one. Other than that, great main events, great showcasing, top tier storytelling, top tier character work, top tier promos. If you were to tell me that Roman Reigns was top 10, you got it. You got it. I can't say he's overrated anymore. He's got it. He's got it. So I guess I'll put him in the underrated spot because there's a lot of people who still hate him for that big dog era in Lee. So I'll put him overrated. They discredit him for that.
All right, all right. So underrated for Roman Reigns. Okay.
Surprisingly. How do we feel about how do you feel about Brock Lesnar, the Beast? What do you
Ah,
think?
Brock is such a weird case, man. Brock is kind of overrated.
Oh, overrated.
Only because it's like there are times he feel like he just don't be trying. Maybe he feels like he doesn't have to do the bare minimum because of the suplex city movement and stuff. But Brock, when he like wants to do something, he's really good though. Like go back and look at his early run, his stuff with Kurt Angle and Undertaker and stuff when he came back, his stuff with Triple H, CM Punk, all that stuff like AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, like some bangers, but like
Mhm.
it's not a consistent thing with him. Like
Okay.
2017 to 2020, Brock Lesnar was a part of the reason why the product was kind of suffering during that time and you wanted to turn the TV off. He wasn't the main reason, but he was a little bit of a portion of why the WWE's product wasn't that good. Like when Brock Lesnar would come out, you didn't get that, oh, here comes Brock Lesnar. You're kind of like, oh my gosh, bro, Brock Lesnar, bro. Like, I'm not trying to see him as champion no more. I don't want to see his matches because they're not as good as they used to be. His stories are boring. Like, he wasn't giving off that appeal. I gotta say he's a little overrated just because of that. When Brock wants to try, he could be untouchable. I ain't gonna lie to you, but
Okay.
it's like you never know what to get from him though. That's the
True.
bad part. He could have a very good story build with a Braun Strowman, and then the match sucks for some reason. Then he could have a very nonchalant story build with AJ Styles, just like a champion brand warfare match, and that match would be incredible. You know what I mean? So it's like you never knew what to get with Brock Lesnar. It wasn't like apples and oranges. It was like sometimes you get apples and then you may not get anything. So it wasn't a consistent balance with Brock. All right, next superstar I'm gonna throw out there. One of the biggest stars of all time, man, Hulk Hogan.
You knew to do this. You knew to do this.
Everybody, everybody's got different perspectives on
You
Hulk
knew to
Hogan.
do
So.
this. Oh man. Jesus. Oh man. Um confusing. Confusing, right? This is gonna be probably my most like confusing answer. Because you just can't deny the contributions that Hulk Hogan made to wrestling and Hulk Hogan made to the business with the matches that he's put on and the character he became and the big name that he became and what like how big he is to wrestling. Even outside of WWE, like with WCW also. But the thing about that is like it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, he's the reason for a lot of amazing things in wrestling and the reason for a lot of amazing television and the reason for a lot of great moments, legendary moments. But he's also the reason for some of wrestling's worst moments. So it's like it's interesting where you want to put him. Whether even though this is outside of like WWE, like whether it's the finger poke of doom, whether it's the ending of him versus staying at Starcade because he had went backstage and changed the ending politics, whether it's WrestleMania 9, Bret Hart's crowning moment, like with Hogan just swooping in there and taking it, like, and then even in his later years, right? Like him working with Shawn Michaels and only having one match and just beating him. So it caused Shawn Michaels to start like, acting a fool in the match and overselling everything. It's weird when it comes to Hulk Hogan because you have to acknowledge his accomplishments, right? But you also have to acknowledge where he doesn't like match up at. You also have to acknowledge sometimes, that promo work, man. Like I get it, it worked for the time, but sometimes when you look back on it, it doesn't hold up today, which is interesting because when you look at other like legends, their promo work holds up today. Ric Flair, a promo from Ric Flair would hold up today. A promo from Dusty Rhodes would still hold up today. A promo from Macho Man Randy Savage would still hold up today. In ring work from Ric Flair, in ring work from Ricky Steamboat, in ring work from all these stars of the past would hold up today, but it doesn't hold up for Hulk Hogan. That's why I would have to put him in overrated because if like for people to call him the GOAT or like the top of the industry or Mountain Rushmore, there isn't like any other wrestler that is missing so many qualities or lacking so many qualities than Hulk Hogan, like a wrestler that gets put on this Mountain Rushmore. Like he's the only wrestler that lacks in like so many qualities and lacks so much to where like you just got to be like, let it slide. He's Hulk Hogan. I have to put him. I just have to. I have to put him overrated. I have to.
I'll see how people feel about that one, man. Hulk Hogan in the
Come on,
overrated side of the bar. That's
they're gonna be.
interesting right there.
I know how they're gonna be. Speaking of touchy subjects with wrestlers or fan bases that are very like touchy, they don't play about their favorites. I feel about AJ Lee, man. AJ Lee just made a return. How do you feel about her?
AJ's kind of too soon to really tell because we don't know how she's going to excel in this era. She was good for her era, Divas era. It was what it was, and she was obviously one of the pinnacle stars and most, um, the most inspirational ones of her time frame. I'll put it underrated though, just for the simple fact we don't know what she can do yet. In this era, I don't know what it's gonna look like when she faces Becky 1-on-1 and she goes up against Charlotte Flair and Stephanie McCure and Julia and Jordan Grace and Naomi and Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. All these top women in the roster, Bailey and Roxanne. Like I don't know what type of quality she's gonna produce us with because we haven't seen it yet. I'm hoping she could do good. I was a big
Mhm.
fan of AJ Lee. AJ Lee's one of my top five favorite women's wrestlers of all time. She actually made me care about the freaking Divas era when she was freaking there. But now we're in a different era. It's a different beast. Women are actually good. Some even better than the men, if we're keeping it a buck. So,
Yes.
um, in this era, it's going to be tough for her because I feel like her wrestling ability might not be on the same level with a lot of these women,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to athleticism for sure. But promo and character work, she'll excel. That's always been her bread and butter. Promo work, character work, she's top tier in that. But that bell ring, that ding ding ding, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like at Palooza, she looked decent at
Okay.
Palooza. So we'll see when she has her first one-on-one match how it's gonna be. But I'll put her in the underrated category. All right, next star I'm gonna throw out there, man. Y2J himself, Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho, man. Y2J. Yeah, I feel like Chris Jericho is actually underrated. I feel like a lot of the stuff he's done and a lot of the moments he's had and a lot of the stories he's told gets pushed to the side in wrestling. Like it's weird, but I feel like people don't like they acknowledge it happened, but I feel like they don't give it the flowers that they should have. Like a lot of his work, um, basically like in the early 2000s in WWE was like 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 top tier entertaining, like the stuff that he was a part of, the storylines he was a part of, and then even into his later years, and like what one of the I think one of the best feuds ever with Shawn Michaels in like '08 that he had, like with a like great matches, great feuds, great storytelling, great character work. Um, I feel like he's had great championship reigns. He even had great tag team reigns. He's had great storylines. The one with Kevin Owens, him and Kevin Owens, the way they ended it, right? It could have been a little better. But the story and the tag team and like them being together was like one of the top things in WWE. Even in Chris Jericho's like that's the later years. That's like 2016. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, like Chris Jericho, he's one of them ones. And I feel like the stuff that he's contributed to wrestling doesn't get talked about a lot or it doesn't get like the flowers that it deserves. But I feel like it should deserve it, man. Chris Jericho, he's been able to keep himself well until we're not gonna talk about the AEW run, but like up until he left WWE, he was able to keep himself relevant and keep himself fresh for 2 decades. That's hard to do, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And like the fact that Chris Jericho has done that while giving us great moments too and iconic things, you just made the list. Like that late into his career, bro. That man is like it might be criminally underrated. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's crazy.
Okay, okay. Fair answer there. Fair answer. Not. It's definitely a weird situation with Jericho too. A little 50-50 balance with the AEW stuff and kind of his later years, older years. But yeah, Jericho at reinventing himself and all the stuff that he can do with his character. I mean, he's always excelled at that part. So
Yeah. So we gonna end it off. I guess I'll give you my final one. We'll end it off great. It's gonna be a great name. You're probably a huge fan. What do you think about? Miss Charlotte Flair. Ooh, Miss Charlotte Flair.
Oh, I think somebody else asked me about this one too. Yeah, Charlotte is a little overrated.
Mm,
A little overrated. In ring athleticism, top tier.
hurt.
Can't take that away from her. But up until now, she's literally been the same. She's never shown any different layers about excelling out of her character work. She's just been, I'm the queen. I want to be the champion. Woo! That's pretty much been her gimmick. She hasn't shown any growth that she could do anything other than chase a title, which granted majority of the women did that. You know what I'm saying? She's not the only one, but it was bad for Charlotte because she was repetitively doing it over and over and over and over and over again. There were times when she would even have the title for like maybe a day. Just to have the title to stat pack her accolades. So now she's doing the tag team stuff with Alexa Bliss. It's been cool. They probably could be doing more stuff with them as a tag team, but that's all the tag teams, you know what I'm saying? So it's not just them. But I feel now we're finally starting to see different layers
Yeah.
from her that we wanted to see many, many years ago. Maybe people wouldn't have hated her as much, if we were able to kind of see different stuff from her to show us, like, hey, can you do something else just besides go after a title? Now we're kind of finally starting to see something like that. And I'm talking about the main title too, just to be clear. So,
Yeah, of course.
but even then, so I still got to say she's overrated. She hasn't shown me that she could do anything else with her character gimmick and add different layers to her arc for me to kind of say, oh, okay, no, Charlotte has range. Like she hasn't
Mm.
shown me that she could have range.
What do you think it is that will like you'll finally be like, okay, she's like done it now. She's like, okay, now
She just
she's
gotta
rocking.
have this babyface run that she's having right
Okay,
now.
okay, okay.
Granted, she was never able to be a babyface before, but now she's doing the stuff with Alexa. If it goes well and everything, and she showed that she could have range, and she doesn't have to be a champion to stand out on the roster, and she could still be one of the top stars in the division without a world title around her waist or on her shoulder. I think that's gonna help put her in that type of conversation. I feel that's just kind of what she's missing right now.
Fair, fair.
Last thing I'm gonna throw out there is gonna be another lady, man. We're gonna end it with Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai. Yeah. The only answer I could go is underrated. When she came in WWE, right? I guess when she came on the main roster, I think a lot of people don't really know about the work that she's done with Tegan Knox at NXT. The feud they've had, a lot of the things she's done, and so when she came to the main roster, it was kind of like a clean slate, also. And they immediately put her a part of like Damage Control, but I guess they just made her like a lackey, and that was pretty much it. Like you see like where Io Sky was able to break out on her own and become like her own singles competitor, but Dakota Kai never really got that chance. Even when they had the chance to do that with the Intercontinental Women's Championship, they just still would never do it. Um, I don't feel like Dakota is bad at character work because I feel like she did a great job during that Mania 40 build with her and turning on Bailey and siding with Damage Control and Io. I feel like she's great in the ring. So to me, I don't get why WWE didn't, I guess, try something with her, at least try something, at least like singles, like mid-card women's championship. But to me, I think she'll always be like underrated. I just seen too much good from her. I've seen her do great things in the ring. I've seen her actually succeed at telling a story. So someone like that, there's no reason she's like shouldn't have like a spot on that WWE roster right now. So I would say like underrated for sure.
Look, man, you threw out some interesting answers. I gave out some interesting ones too. Nothing too crazy from you. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people thought maybe you'd be a little bit more spicy or something, a little bit more controversial. Because sometimes on TikTok, your opinions can be very front forward, and some people obviously,
Yeah.
feel different type of ways about people's opinions and everything. But at the end of the day, an opinion is an opinion. Everybody's entitled to have one. So T.O. man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on here. Make sure you guys follow his social medias, which will be on the screen right here. Show him some love. Check out all his social media platforms. If you want to see more content, please click the video right here. Click the playlist over there. Check out all episodes of the No Name Wrestling Podcast. And we'll be back for another overrated, underrated part of this series. If you want to see certain creators a part of this, let me know in the comment section below of any creators that you would want to see a part of it. And I will do my best to try to make it happen for y'all, I promise.